So this is the agenda for our discussion today. And so we're going to talk about the mega trend that's happening in education. We talk about Microsoft vision in education and the 21st century digital campus. And then quickly touch on Microsoft Azure in education, and then the majority of the topic will be around Moodle, and this is where our partner will drive. So these are the mega trends. This is what we've seen, as a trend happening around us when it comes to higher education. Four of them, which is the mobility. We've seen the explode of devices all over the place, with students, with faculty, and with administration. So mobility is all over the place, and this is where we're trying to utilize such devices happening around us in providing more services and extra services to transform education. Social, again, one of the great aspects that's happening around us, and we've seen what's happening with something like Facebook, and with Microsoft. Again, we're trying to address that when we drive transformation for higher education with higher education customers. Again, big data, analytics, and everything related to analytics around education. That will help executives and policymakers to really make sure that they are putting the money in the right location. Now, cloud is one of the topic, and this is what we're discussing today. One of the elements of the cloud that Microsoft is able to provide, part of this mega trend that's happening around us in education, and this is where the topic of Moodle running on Azure is coming from. So with Microsoft, we have a vision, which is anytime, anywhere learning for all. This is what we're trying to drive when we interact with either higher education, universities, Ministry of Higher Education, or even with K-12 education as well. The ultimate goal is that we want to enable students to actually engage with the transformation of their own learning, and then empower educators, which is the critical part of driving this kind of transformation. Again, if there is a university that wants to transform, the ultimate goal is that the professor is the one who's driving this transformation inside the classroom or the lecture area. And then the most important one, which is improving the operational efficiency. So if we're investing as a higher education in the transformation itself, with engagement of the four mega trends, how do we make sure that our investment really is going into the right direction? So with that, Microsoft, we think, okay, let's actually do a blueprint for the 21st century digital campus. We started by putting the infrastructure in place, then putting some sort of communication and collaboration services that is common across the board. And then we tried to work with our partners to develop more solutions that is either related to the academic, to the learning itself, the learning process, or the administration part where, things like, student information system, the analytic part, the HR systems, and what have you. And then over and above this is where we deliver a portal or a gateway that will allow these kind of services coming from the academic and the administration be available in the portal, and we call this portal a role-based portal. So it provides the service for the audience based on their role. So if you are a student, what kind of services you will see. If you are a professor or a teacher, what kind of services you will see. If you are an administrator or a policymaker, what kind of services that you will see. And to make this complete, we have to take the fact that there are some cloud services available, public cloud services that's available today and will be utilized by our education customers. So how do we make sure that this blueprint is complete? How do we make sure that this blueprint can work with, with the different customers, with the different cases that they have in the different countries, with the different challenges that they have across the world? So now what we did is that we took this high-level blueprint and we made it more detailed. So as an example, when it comes to the infrastructure layer, we thought, okay, let's detail down what is needed inside that layer, in terms of identity, server management, security, and what have you. Then we went into the services and the administration as well as the education applications to detail more of the application that's available, such as the learning management system, student information system, financial management system, research management system. You can see here that there are lots of components here that need to be taken into consideration whenever you develop or drive or implement a digital campus. Some of these products are available directly from Microsoft, or some of them coming from our partners. We work with them to make sure that we are addressing all the needs that's needed for the 21st century. Then after that, we implement or we add the collaboration part, which is very common and very generic across the board. This is where we talk about the email, the shared calendar, the spaces, the websites, which is needed now for interaction between students and their teachers. Now, with that, you definitely need to have the analytic part, so that you can have the analytic and the reporting system coming from the different systems and present that to policymakers in a different way, so that they can have a complete understanding or education 360 of their investment, and they can see what's happening in their organization and where is the investment going and whether they need to change or they are on the right path. Over and above, we have to implement the portal that will take all these services and avail it for the end users based on their role. So again, as I mentioned, whether you are a student, professor, administration, using what kind of devices, how do we make sure that we avail all these services through the different devices and the different channels? And again, as mentioned before, we need to take into consideration the cloud or public cloud services to be part of this bigger pictures. Now, if you look at this picture, it's very complex and very complicated, and it's not that simple and easy to implement. And this is where Microsoft thought about, how can we help, make the vision or the dream of the 21st century digital campus, come true. So this is where Microsoft start think about, something like Azure and Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure is more of a platform that allow you to build, deploy, and manage any kind of your application in a secure way. So it's an extension for your data center to make sure that you can deploy your application, and taking into consideration 3 important elements, which is how do you actually pay for what you really consume today, and how do you move faster and be agile with the services and the requests that's coming to you, from your professors, from the students, and from the audience. And most importantly, scale on demand, which is something that we've seen actually happening all over the world, is that there are some time where, as an example, certain services highly needed, and we call it like seasonal services, like the registration as an example. It happens once or twice a year. So how do we make sure that we allocate the right resources and servers and performance and all this for these kind of services, right? But at the same time, once it's done, we can use these kind of devices and servers and all this into something else. Like how do I allocate all my resources into the registration, and once the registration finished, I want to allocate all these resources to my learning management system throughout the year, because this is what the students and the professors will be using. So Azure is the platform that we are promoting and that will be used in order to help you build, deploy, and manage your secure application. Right? Now, for Azure to work, what we thought about is that we need to come up with different scenarios. Azure is a great platform. It's infrastructure as a service, it's platform as a service, it's software as a service. It provides different kinds of services. However, we wanted to make sure that we have the education scenario in there. And you can tell that the first scenario that we have in there is running something like learning management system, like Moodle, on Azure. Again, the challenge in the past, because Microsoft, we have our own Windows, we could not run something like Moodle on Windows. So now with Azure, we can run actually Windows and Linux on our cloud. And that's why we are now introducing Moodle to be up and running, scalable, highly available on our cloud. And I'm sure our partner will elaborate more on this topic, which is our discussion for today. But I want to make sure as well that there are other scenarios like MOOC, like high performance computing, virtual labs, federation and national federation services across different universities, which is something that we're doing at a country level in many places in Middle East and Africa, and other services, other scenarios that's available even with our partners as well, trying to move their solutions from on-premises into the cloud to make sure that it's available and agile, that you can implement it and be up and running in a faster way. So these are the scenarios. We will be sharing the slides. We will be more than happy to have different webinars and discussions around the different scenarios if this is something that's interesting to you. And with that, I'm actually done with my slides. Quick overview about the education and the education scenarios with Microsoft Azure. And we'll leave it back to Hannah. Okay.
Thank you, Walid. Juan and Ignacio, if you can take over the presentation and start presenting from your end, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'd like to now, first of all, thank Juan and Ignacio from Open Sistema, one of our trusted partners, and they will be joining us and presenting the webinar on Moodle on Azure. Thank you. Juan, Ignacio? Javier, sorry.
It's okay.
My apologies, Javier.
No worries. Just a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. We cannot see your desktop, however.
Okay. Can you see it now?
It's loading. And we can see it now. Thank you, Javier.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Javier Sotomayor. I'm here with my colleague Ignacio Escudero.
Hello.
We work at Open Sistemas. We are an open source based company. We have more than 10 years experience now deploying open source applications, and we've been working with Azure for a couple of years now. And one of the things that we are doing now is integrating Moodle in Azure. So. And it's going to be one of the main points of our presentation. I'm going to put here the things we'll be speaking about. I'm going to speak a bit about what Azure is and Azure and data services, a little overview, and then we're going to speak about open source solutions that we have deployed and they work fine in Azure. We will be seeing how Moodle and Office 365 are integrated in Azure and how they work together, and in fact we will be watching a demo on that, and then I will be speaking about a business case on how we integrated Moodle in Azure and how the project works. We will probably be leaving the demo for the end, and I'll be speaking about the business case before, but we'll see that when we get there. Okay. So I don't know if everyone is aware of what the cloud is. There's a lot of information out there. There's lots of definitions of what the cloud is. The cloud is a network of servers. It's on-demand computing resources. Some even say that the cloud is the internet. And there's a lot of confusion of what the concept cloud is. Okay. From our side, we like the definition that's below, that it's the software and services that run on the internet instead of on your computer. Basically, there's a company that's providing those services for you, and you can access those services from whatever device you want and from any place, just with an internet connection. And that would be I think the easiest thing for the cloud. And what the cloud solves is some computing patterns that anyone can have in their infrastructure, and that cloud computing lets that infrastructure be handled more easily. These are four scenarios on the infrastructure. The first one would be those applications that are used only some time, and then there's an inactivity period. For example, applications that work on work days and won't be working on the weekends, for example. So the cloud will let you switch off those servers on the weekend, and that will let you reduce cost, for example. The second one would be when you've got scenarios where applications grow very fast. You don't have time to put new hardware in your infrastructure when needed. So the cloud will let you set up more servers and more computing power easily and very quickly. So that will be handled much better from the cloud than in a typical IT structure. The third computing pattern would be when there's an unpredictable bursting, when you know you're going to have some peaks. You don't know when you're going to have them, but you can set the cloud to be able to handle those peaks, adding more computing power if needed, and you don't have to be worried when this peak is going to be, because the infrastructure will be able to handle those peaks. And the last pattern would be that one when you know when the peaks are going to be, and you have prepared your infrastructure to be able to cover those peaks. For example, applications that you know that are going to be used more in the afternoons or maybe the weekends, and you know that's going to be the normal usage of the application. You can set up an infrastructure that can cover those peaks. Okay. Now, I'm sure you have all heard about IaaS, PaaS. I don't know if you all are aware of differences. Basically, IaaS is like a hosting platform, like we know hosting as we know it today. It just provides servers where you can actually deploy whatever operating system you want or whatever application you want, and you are the one that administrates the machine. That would be infrastructure as a service, where you can handle everything. Platform as a service would be one step further. Platform as a service will provide tools so that you can build applications with them or websites over that infrastructure. So it gives you more. It's easier for you to build applications and to be able to build things on the platform. And then the third one, that would be software as a service. Those are applications that are already been built. You cannot modify them, you just consume them, you just use them. Like, well, we know mail desktops, for example, or CRMs, or in this case would be Office 365, for example. Okay, so those are applications you're going to be using on the cloud, and you just consume them. Okay. The main difference between them is the separation of responsibilities. In a traditional IT setup, you would be responsible of everything, of all the 7 layers. You will be handling everything there, and when you go to an IaaS platform, well, the lowest levels will be handled by others. You don't have to care about those, like networking, storage, servers. You only have to handle the operative system, the middleware, and any applications that you want to install there. So that would be your main concern. If we go to service, that platform will provide you with those tools and applications to be able to run and create your applications. So that middleware there is provided by the platform. And in software as a service, as you can see, you can manage everything. I mean, you receive the application as it is, and you just consume it as a user, and it is provided to you in that way. Okay, so to finish this overview, what the cloud would be is just a multi-device accessing platform through the internet, and connected through a cloud provider that will give you any of these 3 platforms, SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS, and basically it's using someone else's server to host, process, and store your data, so you don't have to do it locally, and of course you reduce cost in administration, and you can configure the platform to be able to grow to your needs without having to manage it yourself. Now, as you all know, well, cloud is an evolution. It is an evolution of IT, although it's been here for a couple of years, for most years now. It is an evolution and the revolution, because it's a different way of thinking of IT. Okay, and then and of course Microsoft has to be there as one of the leading IT companies in the sector, and Microsoft Azure is one of the major breakouts on cloud computing. And what we're going to see now on the platform is all the pieces. I'm not going to go into much detail because we haven't got much time, but I want to see at least the main features, the most important features that you have in this platform. The main feature will be these ones, the compute features. That means you can create virtual machines. That will be the IaaS part of the platform. You can create pretty much any kind of virtual machines. You can select the power you want them to have. You can select the operative system. Okay, so you will be speaking a bit more in detail of this one, because I want to show you how you can create images and load virtual hard disks to virtual machines. Then you've got the website piece, and this piece is to create websites with software that's already been installed in the cloud. Basically, you only have to configure it. And the cloud services would be those tools that you need to be able to create your own applications or more sophisticated applications to run on the cloud. Okay. Then you've got data management. You've got the traditional SQL database, but you also have blogs to store binary images and video, and storage tables to store information when you have applications that don't want to store a whole lot of information. For example, you want to store user information. You can use storage tables to have that information. You wouldn't need to have a huge SQL database, so that's what it's used for. And you've got more services, file services, for example, to handle your files in your deployments. Then networking, you can create virtual networks in the Azure platform. You have manager, which is the one in charge to load balance of the servers you have. When you have a farm of servers, you will use a traffic manager to be able to balance the load, and you can also configure that express route will be a connection directly to your network or to your servers without using the internet, to have a quicker access to your information. You also have a load of tools for developers to be able to develop. Of course, Microsoft wants to be able to host any language, so you'll find different programming language there, and you can develop in .NET, you can develop in PHP. I mean, you can use whatever language you want. You've got the identity access, which is basically the Active Directory, which is a way of handling users inside the cloud. We'll see that more in detail. You can have your users there, and with a token you will be able to access all the applications in your cloud through this Active Directory. Okay? The multi-factor authentication would be a way to authenticate users when you need more security, like for example user and password, and then sending a message, an SMS message to the mobile phone, so that they can write a code or something. It will be like a double checker of the identity of the person, but that's only used when you need high security in some applications. Okay, there are some more, as you can see, lots of things you can do here. I won't go into much more detail. You can do mobile things, mobile tools. You've got mobile tools. You've got backup tools, messaging. Performance will be an important one because you can improve performance of your applications with these tools. And as you can see, you've got big data. You can handle big data as well with these tools. And well, you have e-commerce tools. So as you can see, the Azure platform is very big and has a lot of tools. So you can do lots of things. And as you will see in the demo, it's very easy to use. and you can deploy and construct things very fast. Now, just to give you a hint, we will see this in demo, but this will be the Azure Management Portal. As you can see on the left side, you can see you've got your all the options that we've been seeing there: the website, virtual machines, mobile services, cloud services, SQL databases. You can select from there which thing you want to see in the platform, and the right side of the window will be changing depending on what you select there. Okay, we'll see that just to give you a look at what it is. We'll see this in the demo. So those you haven't seen it yet, it works rather well, and it's pretty cool how you can handle this from the portal. Okay, this is something that I wanted to highlight, migration to Azure. It is done through virtual hard disk, and it's rather quick. I mean, you just have to create an image of your hard drive and upload it to a virtual machine that you have already created in Azure, and it will be running in like minutes. Okay? Sometimes you do have to change some connections you have to other servers or any integrations you have, but you have to do that anyway if you change the server. But pretty much it's like just creating a virtual image and uploading it to the virtual machine, and it's as easy as that. As we will see in the demo, you also have images in Azure that contain different operating systems and different software inside those images. So you can just pick one and create a virtual machine with an operating system and a package of software and databases, for example, or CMS. And you have a server up and running in minutes with all that applications all ready to be used. Okay, you can even load your own images and have your own gallery of images, so you can handle your infrastructure just by copying images to virtual machines. So you will see in the demo that it's a rather straight way of creating virtual machines and have them up and running in minutes. I also wanted to speak about this couple of tools I've been using in Azure, Chef and Puppet. Of course, when you have these tools are used when you have a big number of servers that have the same information, when you have a farm of servers that have the same information. And these two applications, what they basically do is they control that the information in all the servers is the same. So you don't have to be configuring each server by itself. You have like a master configuration, which is then copied to all the servers. And whenever you change the configuration in one server, through these two applications, it is copied to the rest of the servers. So you have, for example, 10 servers with the same application, and you increase the load, you're going to, those numbers of servers are going to be growing. Then you don't have to configure each server each time, but these two applications will configure those new servers in an automatic way, and you know that all your servers will be having the same information, will configure exactly the same. So you will not have this problems of this server is not working right, what's the problem here, and this one is configured another way. All will be configured the same way. Okay, well, open source and in Azure. I don't know if you know the Microsoft Openness that started some years ago. Microsoft started to change its way with the IT industry, and they wanted to work in a more collaborative way with the rest of the stakeholders of the industry. And of course their goal was to approach the cloud and to be able to let anyone access that cloud and to create environments where everyone could work. In this case, as I said, we are an open source company, and we are partners with Microsoft, and we work with Azure. So that would be the best proof I think there is that things are changing, and that working with them is great, and Azure is a great platform. and we can deploy our applications, and we'll be seeing some of them now, open source application in Azure, and they work perfectly well without any problems. So and it's very, very easy to do. The best thing is that it's very quick and very easy to do it. Okay. So some of the open source tools that we have deployed in Azure, some of them you will surely know. We have deployed WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla, which are CMS. The most easy one is Joomla, of course. Drupal is more complex, and we have business cases in all of them. Even we have internal websites from Open Systems that are deployed in one of the three CMS and are in Azure. All our infrastructure is in Azure now. In the learning environment, we've been doing integrations with Moodle and edX, much more in Moodle. In fact, the business case we're going to see today is related to Moodle. And we have also been using and integrating open source databases like MongoDB, MariaDB, and MySQL. MariaDB, is a fork from MySQL, so they both work pretty well. And in fact, we've been using these three databases in the business case that we're going to see. Of course, we've been using MySQL, of course, in other CMS deployments that we've done in Azure. So we know that they work pretty well, and they're very consistent and no performance issues. So and very easy to deploy. Now, speaking about the integration between Moodle and Office in Azure, we first have to speak about the Active Directory. This is one of the parts that we've been seeing when I showed you all the blocks that the platform has. We all know what an Active Directory is. Basically, in Azure, it does pretty much the same. Stores information about users and provides tokens to be able to go from one application to another, providing single sign-on experience inside the cloud. As you can see in the picture, basically what it does is when the user wants to access the application, a token will be provided by the Active Directory, and this token will be sent to the application and will validate the user. And once the user is validated, that token will also be used to access more information with the API of the Active Directory. It's called Graph. And maybe some applications need to have more information about the user, where they work, the address or phone number, and they need to access the Active Directory to get that information. So this is the way that Azure handles users, and it's a way to integrate SAS applications with the users that are working on the platform. Okay, so Office is a SaaS application in Azure, so it works integrating the user information with the Active Directory. So the user will connect through a portal, normally SharePoint, to be able to access Office, and security and access will be granted by the Active Directory, and all the user information will be handled there. Okay, Active Directory in Azure can be synchronized with the company Active Directory, so you can upload that information to the cloud. If you don't want to have all your infrastructure in Azure, you can synchronize certain information only for the users that are going to use SaaS applications, for example. So you will have your corporate LDAP, for example, with information of your users and departments, and you can synchronize information to the cloud for those users that will be accessing SaaS applications in this case. Okay, so that synchronization can be done. You don't have to have your whole directory of users in the cloud. Only those that are going to be accessing that information. So And configuring this is rather easy. You just have to set the users and give them access to Office, and the whole platform does it for you. I mean, it's not a heavy configuration, or you don't have to program anything. It's like it's already integrated, okay? And when we add Moodle, Moodle is integrated as well with Active Directory through Office. You can set the users of Office. We will see this in the demo. There's a plugin to configure Moodle through the users of Office, but users are handled in the Active Directory. They are duplicated. In fact, you will be having them in the Active Directory of the Moodle in the background, but they will be synchronized, so it will be transparent for the users. You will have them in both systems, but a user that's in Active Directory and has access to Moodle will access Moodle, and in the background, a user will be created in Moodle, but he will have access. Okay, have access. One of the users you see are mainly in Active Directory, but once you have access to Moodle and Office, you can really share files and information between both applications. You can create content in Office that is published in Moodle, and that integration is possible, and it's done through a plugin that we'll see in the demo, and it's very easy to configure. So as I said, no, you don't have to do complex deployments or complex developments to achieve this, but this plugin is already, you can download it and install it, and it already gives you that functionality. Okay, just to see some of the database integrations you can do with Moodle in Azure, and that we've tried, and they work. Okay, as I spoke before, we have three main open source ones, which is MySQL, MariaDB, and MongoDB. MongoDB, we use it for caching purposes mainly, while MariaDB and MySQL, we use it for data from Moodle. We have also tried integrating it with Oracle and with Microsoft SQL, and they work. Moodle works fine with any of them. So you can either choose the database you want to be using with Moodle, and integration with Moodle is just configuring what database you want to use, and the own application uses it without much fuss. I mean, it's rather easy to use, as I was saying. Although mainly it comes with MySQL. That's the main database that Moodle uses. But I mean, as you can see, you can integrate it with other database. The companies that have corporate databases and they use Oracle, and they want all the applications to be working in Oracle for compliance purposes and stuff like that. Well, you can use those databases as well. Okay, no problem with that.